Hi folks, it's Peter, back with another video on what's been a glorious summer's day here in Cumbria. Not something that get to say too much in this part of the world. But anyway, I've got tons of stuff that I need to show you. So much so that it's going to probably take 2 or 3 videos. This is all stuff I've bought over the last few months. But this one is going to be dedicated to electronic music. It's been one of my favourite types of music since I've heard my first electronic music album, which was Tangerine Dream's Phaedra, back in about '74. And if you ask me now, I'd still say it's my favourite electronic music album and one of my favourite albums, full stop. Anyway, I've been trying to fill a lot of holes in my collection of this type of music over the last few months. So let's have a look at what I've got. And we'll start off with the Tangs themselves. And this is Green Desert. Now this was recorded in, I think, 1973. It would have been their 5th album, I think. Yeah, it would have come just before Phaedra, I think. Though there is talk that a lot of this was overdubbed and tweaked by Froese in the early 80s, because even though it was recorded in '73, it didn't come out on the Relativity label until 1986. This actually just features, I think, Franke and Froese. Bauman was on leave somewhere at the time. Next up is again the Tangs, and this was Sorcerer, their first soundtrack, which obviously they became famous for doing soundtracks. This was the very first one, which was for the William Friedkin film Sorcerer, which was a remake of the old 50s French film The Wages of Fear. Both films are worth seeing, actually. Now this is typical soundtrack in that it's shorter tracks than you would have seen on a Tangs album at the time, but it's good, it's excellent. That, I think, completes my Tangerine Dream collection in as far as the music that I like. I'd probably go up to about the early 80s when Paul Hassinger joined and Johannes Schmerling left. I think that was the point at which their music didn't hold much interest for me, so I think I've now got everything from that earlier period that I actually want. Next up, there's a few albums here by the same artist, an ex Tangerine Dream member and probably the second most famous electronic music artist of all time, the great Klaus Schulze. Sorry for the nudity that's on there. This is Body Love, which was from, I think, 77 was this? Yes, 77, and was the soundtrack to a porn movie. And I also have, excuse me, Body Love 2. It doesn't actually have the 2 on this version of the album, which is on the Island label, but this was also from 77 and was originally meant to be, sorry about the nudity, additions to the soundtrack, though I've read elsewhere that it had actually nothing to do with the movie itself. These are typical 70s Schulze albums, brilliant spacey music, superb. The guy can do very little wrong in my view. The next few are all again by Schulze. Oops. just bear with me. Take the sleeves off so reduce the glare. Right, we have 4 more albums. We have Dig It. This one's from 1980. Now by this point, and with the subsequent albums, Schulze went completely digital in terms of the keyboard used. This is Transfer, and this is from 81. We then have Interface. This one's from 85. And finally, from 86, Dreams. Horrible colours in that one. Now these, like I said, are fully digital. They're not as good as, I don't think, as his 70s albums, but they are very good albums in their own right. As I say, Klaus Schulze is a favourite of mine, and I don't think he's ever done anything that's less than interesting. All worth having. So that's more holes filled in my collection. Sticking with Germany, where a lot of the greatest electronic music came from, we have Nada by Peter Michael Hamel. Now, Peter Michael Hamel was a member of the krautrock world sort of fusion band Between, and then he went solo. And these are very ambient works. Excellent albums. He moved more into a classical vein, I think, as he went on. This is from 77 and is on the Virgo label. Superb ambient electronics. And talking of ambient electronics, and still in Germany, we have Eberhard Schörner and his album Meditation. This cover's a bit knackered. You'll see that on a few of these albums. That's the inner cover. This is 2 long tracks. I suppose Zeitish might be a description of these. Long, meditative, as the title implies, tracks. Excellent stuff with probably Far Eastern influences. The young lady is Olivia K. Fischer-Lütke, who I understand from this is a artist that was born in Japan. I presume that the music was maybe done for an art installation or something. I don't know. Excellent though, that is superb. His next album is a little bit different, and it's from 76, this one, Bali Agun. And this is with the help of Peter York on drums, Siegfried Schwab on guitar, and a gamelan orchestra. This is very influenced by Balinese music and gamelan music, but it's also got a psychedelic bent to it. Excellent. And finally, another one for Eberhard Schörner. And this is his 77 album, Transformation. I do not like that cover. Now this has a Andy Summers of The Police playing guitar on it. Does a pretty good job on here. And there's drums as well, and a bass guitar, so it's a rockier album, but it's also ritualistic. It's got a Gregorian chant flavour to it. Reminds me of some of Popol Vuh's music in that respect. So again, different from the last two. You have monks chanting here, all sorts. But well worth having. And the final one from Germany, an artist I've wanted to have something by for a long time, but honestly been scared stiff of trying, and that's Stockhausen. And this is a 1967 piece called Precession. The album was released in 1969, and it's for tam-tam, viola, electronium, piano, filters and potentiometers. I expected this to be very cold, academic, very avant-garde and difficult. In fact, yes, it is avant-garde, yes, it is, I suppose, difficult, but I really enjoy this. I thought this was a cracking album. So I will be looking to explore more of his music. He's obviously a big influence on a lot of the krautrock and electronic music artists that came out of Germany in the 60s and 70s. Next up, we have two albums by the keyboardist Larry Fast, who went under the name Synergy. This is, I think, his second album, Sequencer. And this is from 76. It came out. This is on Sire label, on Passport. And his third album, Chords, again on Passport. Now, a lot of Synergy, Larry Fast's music is neoclassical in vein. It's almost as if he's doing electronic versions of classical pieces. Though on this, I think you find it, which is my favourite, I think, and that is far more rhythmic and theatrical or cinematic in scope. I think this is a cracking album. I'd urge you to check them out. Nothing really like the German Berlin movement albums. Excellent in their own right. And those are all the old albums. I've actually been buying some brand new issues of electronic music. And the first, if you remember a couple of videos ago, I showed 3 albums by the American singer-songwriter Cassell Webb, which, though credited just to her, were really a partnership between her and her partner Craig Leon. Well, Craig Leon also did a couple of his own solo electronic music albums, and they've been reissued and put together. The first one was Nomos, and I think that was, that one was 1981, and that came out on John Fay's Tacoma label, so it proves it wasn't just for guitar music. And the second one, in 1982, was Visiting. Now, the first album, Nomos, I think was based on the, sorry, bear with me, I'll show you the inner covers. That's the Nomos one. And this was based on the culture and music and myths of the Dogon people, a reclusive tribe from Mali. And Leon saw these two albums as very much twins of each other, in that Nomos, the first one, is the more, what do you call it, metallic, great percussion, electronic percussion on it, whereas Visiting This, the second one, is the softer and more subdued album. Excellent music in their own right. When they put these out, redid them, they did them, I'm all over the place today, sorry, under the title Anthology of Interplanetary Folk Music, Volume 1, because this year he's put out the Cannon Anthology of Interplanetary Folk Music, Volume 2. I think using the same sort of instruments, keyboard instruments, as he did for the very first two. This is probably a bit more in that Cosmischer vein, I think, than from what I remember on the first listen. But again, excellent music out this year. Oh, I should have said these are both on the RVNGL label, whatever that is. But well worth checking out. Now, two of my favourites of recent times in the electronic genre. First is Craven Fultz. This is the third album in a trilogy, which is sort of meant to be like a journey through a post-industrial Yorkshire landscape. I think it's just, Craven Fultz is, I think, just the one guy whose name isn't on here. This is excellent experimental electronics, more in the sort of Cologne, Dusseldorf vein than, say, the Berlin School. But it's worth having all three of these. It's an excellent trilogy. And finally, because I'm already getting up to the 18 mark, is one of my favourites of this year, I think, Unica Zurn, and their album Transpandorum. Now, Unica Zurn are a duo of David Knight, guitarist and keyboardist who's worked with Danielle Dax and Carl Blake on the Shockheaded Peters, and Stephen Thrower, who was a member of Coil on keyboards and reeds. This is absolutely superb. It's anybody who likes Zeit, Tangerine Dream Zeit, will love this, I think. This is their third album on the Touch label, and they've done a new album which I've got on order this year, which, if it's anywhere near as good as this, will be excellent. Like I say, if you like that ambient, droney side type of stuff, then check this one out. Sorry, I've sort of gone through those very quickly and not very coherently, I'm afraid. Tomorrow is the Kendal Record Fair again, so I'm hoping I'll be coming back with lots of goodies from that, which I'll have to show you. So I hope that you're all okay. I hope you're all having a good summer. for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere. And I hope to see you soon. Bye.